This is AGK. Welcome to our monthly My Story session. My name is AGK Karunakaran. I'm the president of TIE Silicon Valley. As you know, My Story session has been going on for years, and thanks to Naveen, we've been able to deliver this consistently to get the learnings from the featured entrepreneur. Before I go into the details of this, my story itself, and then introducing Naveen, I also want to talk about what's happening at TIE Silicon Valley. We just had a good summer break. Post TIECon, we had good summer break. We did a lot of TIE Angel type of investment conference in Southern California that many of us participated. We also had our summer picnic, and then a lot of partner events. And now, we are going to be having a busy month of September and October, where we plan to have more sessions, again, going on the 5 pillars of TIE, which is investing, incubating, mentoring, networking, and educating. And today, it's a combination of both. We'll get to learn from the My Story session. But in terms of the upcoming serious events towards, I think, and September 25th evening, I think Friday, we have our TIE Angels. There are multiple companies presenting, so some of you are into TIE Angels, please consider participating in that event. We also have enrollments for the mini MBA coming up. We also have there's a group of CEOs visiting from India, and TIE Silicon Valley is hosting them. We also have the Web 3.0 conference on November 4th. So we have series of events that are coming up that will get our entrepreneurs and member network to learn and grow from. With that, let me just give a short introduction to Naveen. Naveen Bisht is the CEO of Akitra. It's a cybersecurity company, and prior to that, he's been a serial entrepreneur. He has done a bunch of startup companies. He was the founder and CEO of Starks, SecureAct, Nina Networks, and Ukia Software. He has been involved with TIE, and he has been served on the board of TIE Silicon Valley. And he started My Story sessions starting in 2001 to inspire budding entrepreneurs. And it's been a very successful program, and every time we can learn something from these sessions, because nuggets from real experience is what we can take it away from these sessions like this and try to implement it in our own company. Naveen has pursued his PhD studies at UC Santa Barbara. He holds a master's at Texas Tech and bachelor's from BITS. He has 5 patents in the areas of AI, security, networking, and published several papers and articles on entrepreneurship and industry trends. So Naveen, please take it away from here. Again, thank you, Tushar, for doing this.
Thank you so much, AGK, for kind introduction and kind words. So good evening and morning to folks. Evening to folks who are in the West Coast, and morning to folks if you're joining from the Far East or India or other parts of the world. So please, before we get started, few housekeeping items. One is, please start writing down your questions you may want to ask our amazing speaker today in the Q&A section of your screen. And we'll try to cover as many as possible within the hour we have here. So with that, I will get going. So we have, as you all know, cyber attackers are very creative people, and they're very fast and increasingly getting more and more malicious. In the age of this perimeter-less network, there are no longer rigid walls to keep these attackers out. As you know, this whole cybersecurity industry is growing very fast, and tons of startup activities over last count. I had seen articles 2,000 plus, including myself. And so built on this premise, our amazing speaker today, Tushar and his team at Attivo Networks, they took a different and innovative approach by changing the landscape for cybersecurity defense. Instead of focusing on preventing attackers from getting in, Attivo uses dynamic deception to detect the attackers, that have made their way inside the network, it identifies them and empowers organizations to promptly shut down the cyber attack. Not only that, Tushar wrote the first check to fund the company in 2013 and built the company over 9 years into a leader in identity threat detection and response space with over 220 employees. And Attivo raised over 60 million plus over 4 rounds of funding. And before getting recently acquired by SentinelOne, a leader in the whole cybersecurity space, for 616.5 million. With currently Tushar is Senior Vice President and General Manager for the Attivo Networks division. And he's been a highly successful executive with over 25 years of experience in all aspects of building successful businesses in Silicon Valley. And he has worked for leading companies in various executive roles as VP General Manager with Cisco Systems, Meru Networks, Juniper, and NCR in many senior executive positions. He also master's degree in computer science from Rutgers University. So with this, I would like to invite and hand it over to Tushar to share his exciting, colorful, and amazing entrepreneurial and professional journey with us this evening. So let's give him a big round of virtual applause. Thank you, Tushar. So
yeah. All right. Hey, thank you, Naveen. Really great to be here, and thank you for inviting me. I would like to make this discussion a little bit more about what I learned and what I learned does not work, and share that with you more than just about me. But I will weave in a little bit of my story, so you get a perspective on what it is and so on. Does that make sense? And is my voice and video, everything coming across?
yeah, very well. Please.
All right. Cool. So I'll take help of a few slides to sequence my thoughts and conversation with you. And of course, I'm sure there's opportunity for us to do a Q&A, which is going to be very useful, and feedback and so on. So I look forward to that. So a little bit, I'll kind of start here. I've been in Silicon Valley now for 25 plus years, and had the fortune of working for many very, successful and large companies, as well as some small and medium-sized companies. And over the years, I picked up a lot of experience. And then I started this company called Attivo Networks. But before I do all that, let me just tell you a little bit more about myself and my background. So a little bit about my parents and my upbringing. I was born and raised in Mumbai. And, like many of us who came from that part of the world, our families were very focused on our children's education, or my father and mother, in my case, were focused on my brother and my education. And a little bit about my father, and a lot of things I learned from him that are still, proving to be extremely valuable. So my father was an astute businessman, and he was doing financing of other companies as part of his business. And so he had the ability to look at companies, analyze them, and in those days, he was lending money to those companies. So I learned a lot from him on the money management, how to evaluate the company, how to listen to what they're doing, how to pick out what's not good, and so on. Keep in mind that he was a product of socialist India. In his times, the opportunities were very limited. India was a socialist country. And as a result, he had sharpened his skill to manage whatever resources he had and really make the most of it. There was really no room for errors. I remember when I graduated from my engineering college, I couldn't find one job in India at that time in Mumbai. The only job that was offered to me was to be a air conditioning maintenance engineer at Taj Hotel. So very, very limited opportunities in those days. Some of my colleagues went to Larsen Toubro to work and so on. But in general, those are the tough times. And as a result, you learn some things that stay with you. And so early on, focus in my family was about education and entrepreneurship. My father always told me that you will never succeed if you work for somebody. You need to work for yourself. Not necessarily true in today's day and age, but in those days, that was the situation. And, at dining table every day, we would discuss a lot of different things, and really learned and sharpened my skills to assess situation and make a business judgment on what's right and which way to go. My father used to say, like, first thing to do is to collect data, see what's out there, what everybody knows, so that you don't have to stumble on those things yourself. So collect all the data you can, convert that to information, and then assess the information and make the judgment. So that has stayed with me, and I can very quickly today pick up things from a conversation that I think is going to help me make the decision on a particular issue. So anyway, that was the upbringing, and both my brother and I grew up with an intense desire to build businesses. Businesses all we talked about, and wanted to make our mark in the world. And of course, as we grew older and things happened, we were fortunate to get some of the opportunities. I'll talk about that. A little bit about my family here. I live with my wife, Sangeeta, and my son and daughter, Kunal and Karishma. We live in Fremont, California. My wife, of course, been the backbone of the family and has supported us throughout the years so that I could go out and build my career and pursue all these opportunities that came my way. My son and daughter are both engineers and have been a great part of our life in making it very rich and vibrant in our family. So that's my family here. And it's a picture of our dog as well, who's passed away now. Anyway, tell you a little bit about my education. I grew up in Mumbai, finished high school in Mumbai, and then went to Jain College of Science to do science, study science there. And then after 2 years of studying there, I went to engineering college, which was Sardar Patel College of Engineering. In between, I had applied for IIT after my first year. But when I got the opportunity, when the results came, I had opportunity to go to, I believe, Kanpur and Kharagpur. And in those days, the full prowess of IIT was not understood. And I chose not to go out of Mumbai since I did not get into Mumbai. So, hindsight, of course, there was something I should have done differently. Anyway, I did my mechanical engineering from Sardar Patel College of Engineering, and then came to US to pursue my master's in computer science at Rutgers University. I'll tell you a little bit of a funny story about gathering data information and converting that into useful, data or information to make decision. In those days, we grew up in Mumbai and didn't have all the resources and connections, and we went to a place called USIS, which was funded by U.S. government. It was United States government information center or something like that. And you went there, and there were, brochures and different marketing material from different schools who sent material to those to the UCs. So there were about 20, 30 colleges where their information was there, and invariably the good colleges brochures were out of stock because other people would come and get them and so on. So when I went, there were few available, and for whatever reason I decided to go to Rutgers. And I don't believe I did a thorough analysis to see where to go and what would be the best fit. Nevertheless, Rutgers was a great university and I got a very good education. But just instances in my life where I felt I could have done differently if I had more information, more data, learned and asked more questions. Anyway, that's a little bit of learning there. But very fortunate, and my parents put all the resources to make sure I could continue to go to school and go to college and come to US, and funded all my education very gracefully, and very thankful to them for that. After I finished my master's at Rutgers, I started looking for a job. Interestingly, I got into like final interview at that time. It was Unisys, I believe. And they liked me and I liked what they were doing. I thought I'll become a software programmer, programming mini computers. And then just when they were about to give me an offer, their HR came and said, well, he doesn't have a green card. He's not a US citizen. so we can't hire him. So I realized that this was in the early 80s, and the world had not yet opened up to potential of hiring students, graduate students from these schools. So, one of my friends told me that in California, it's much different. You should come to California. And he had graduated a year before me and had come to California and got a job here. So a little bit of an interesting story. I said, okay. So I bought a one-way ticket on an airline called World Airways. In those days, if you know about this, of course you're old, but it was an interesting airline, no frills, coast to coast for $90 or something like that. I got a one-way ticket on World Airways, landed in, I think, Oakland, and rented a car from a rental car company called Rental Rack. They used to rent cars for $10 a day. So that was within my budget. So we did that. And that's how I came to Silicon Valley. And in those days in Silicon Valley, it was booming, lots of companies. You could drive around and see all these companies. So my friend told me, look, go Monday morning, start driving, go to each company's lobby, fill out an application, and that's how it works here. So I did that first couple of days. And then on a third day, I went to a company called National Semiconductor. And walked in, filled out the form. The receptionist took the form and told me to wait. She went inside and talked to the HR manager. HR manager came out and said, if you're interested, I can arrange interviews for you. I said, sure. So he did that. Next morning, I showed up and I had 8 to 5, 7 or 8 interviews with different groups in the company. And at 5 o'clock, he called me to his office and said, which job do you like? And I said, well, I like to get into gate array programming at that time. And he called the manager to see if he was interested in me. The manager was not at his desk. So then he said, okay, what about the next job? So I gave another name and he called that person. He was at his desk. He said, yeah, I'd like to hire Tushar. So at 4:30 or 5 o'clock that afternoon, National Semiconductor made me an offer. I remember it was like $23,000 per year. And I was just delighted. They were going to sponsor me. They were going to get me a green card. So clearly I felt like I died and gone to heaven. Went back to East Coast, picked up my belongings and came to Silicon Valley. So that's how I got started. Very interesting times that you drive from one company to another and you got a job within a day. It was just unheard of. But that time Silicon Valley was really booming in early 80s and they were looking for engineers and really worked out great for me. So very thankful for that break I got at that time and got me started. Over the years, I worked in several very exciting companies. I started my career at National Semiconductor, as I mentioned. That was my first job. Then went and worked for a very exciting small startup in Southern California called View Engineering, which was in image processing and pattern recognition systems. There was a great learning and all that. Then I came back to Silicon Valley, worked again for a little while for National Semiconductor, and then ended up at Cisco. And Cisco at that time, I joined in 95. I had already gone public, but it was a very exciting company. And I was very lucky to get a break in there. And once I got there, I dug in, and I was at Cisco from 95 to 2004. And my career, had rapid acceleration during that phase. I started in engineering product management and then was moved to sales because of some things they were doing, and I thought that should be done differently. And they listened to me and said, okay, if you think you can run this business in a different way, we'll give you a chance. Why don't you come and join the sales, which was pretty interesting. But look, I grew up in a business family. My father taught us business. So even though my education was engineering, my mind was always on business and so on. So I joined Cisco sales and grew rapidly, became vice president in those days, which was quite rare. I was named vice president in 98, I believe. And then I was at Cisco till 2004, held different positions. In my final gig, I did acquisition of a company called Linksys, got Cisco into the home router business, and ran that and so on. And then I went to Cisco's competitor called Juniper Networks. And that's where I learned security and other things. Juniper had just acquired a company called NetScreen. So that's my quick journey from beginning to various positions in different companies. I was very fortunate to be able to get jobs in this very successful companies, and was able to work among some of the best in the world. And as a result, learned a lot of things. And through that process, I migrated from engineering to sales and marketing, and then executive leadership. Um, so it was just phenomenal learning experience. The only thing I would knock myself was that I always had a very well-paying job lined up. And as a result, even though I wanted to do my own business, which was always the goal, um, never got around to it. There was always a trade-off. While I'm, making X $100,000, and if I quit and go to zero and then start up and all this. So it was a great to have these positions, but it was a curse and delayed my entrepreneur journey by a few years. But still very fortunate to have this opportunity. In 2013, I joined a company called Attivo Networks. Was started by a couple of my friends. They had started it a couple of years ago, but they had some concepts and some ideas, but not much was done. So they asked me to come and take over the company and see if I could take it forward. I wrote the first check for the company for $100,000. And to me, it was very important to write that first check because I always wanted to bet on myself in life. And if you are, considering anything in your life, I would suggest write a check for yourself instead of betting in the stock market, which you could lose, or giving money to somebody else. Write a check to yourself. That will create a different thinking for you. You'll own your decision, you'll own the business, and you'll make all the right decisions. And so I was very happy to write that first check, got the company started. Then over the next 5-6 years, we raised about $60 million through Series C. And while we are doing that, we started, our original goal was to become a company that detects threats inside the network. And I was very fortunate to run into some very good engineers who also wanted to start their own company. And I brought them into Attivo Networks, joined hands, and created this company, and started building from there. And as Naveen mentioned, our company got acquired on May 2nd of this year for about $616+ million. So great outcome, and some of the great learnings during this phase. Let me share some of the things I learned. So first of all, if you're starting a company like Attivo or any of your startup, make sure you invest in your people. People is what's going to make the company or break the company. These are pictures of some of my top engineers and my overall team here in US. Overall, when we sold the company, we had about 230 people in the company, but just phenomenal people. And what I did, and which I would recommend all of you consider doing if you're going to become an entrepreneur, is to always back your people, back your engineers, stand up for them. During the journey, we had times when, I had to fight with the investors, fight with the board of directors to make sure that the employees and, everybody was taken care of. I insisted we need to give them stock options every year. They have other choices, don't take them for granted. And I really focused on making sure they were successful. And in turn, they made sure we were successful. So it's just always back your people, invest in people. Without that, you will not succeed. So my key learnings from this journey was you got to nurture your technical team first, because all these businesses are built on technical innovation. If you don't do that, it's not going to work. If you're a startup, you must win 95% of the competitive bids, because no point in starting a company or a technology or product and you win half the time. Understand, if you win half the time, your sales and marketing expense is going to be twice to make the same numbers. Very important to know that. So therefore, if you invest in your technology, so when you get to the table in a battle against a competitor, you should have the best-in-class product, technology, and overall execution, because the most expensive thing is to reach that customer, get at the seat at the table to be considered. And then if you don't have a playbook right, you don't have technology right, if you don't have the product right, you're going to fail. So make sure you invest in your technical team and get the best product out there. Second, don't forget importance of sales and marketing. If you don't understand sales and marketing, it's not going to work, because a lot of times I see some brilliant engineers start a company. Technically, they're very sound, but underestimate what it takes to go to market, sales and marketing, and so on. And that's a very, very important thing. If you either you have the sales DNA, in my case, I had that, and so I relied on myself. But if you are a pure technical person and starting a company, make sure you team up with a very solid sales and marketing leader. If you don't have that, it's very hard to succeed. Third lesson I learned, that you need to have a product market fit. So just because it's a great idea, it makes a lot of sense, until the market buys into the story and starts buying the product, it's going to be very hard. In our case, for the longest time, we didn't quite have the product market fit. So we had to keep innovating, keep refining, keep changing until we started to resonate and get a product market fit. So invest in getting a product market fit right. Fourth thing I would tell you is managing money and investors wisely. Complicated topic sometimes. So don't let investors are great, they're partners, they're friends, you need them. But you don't want to get into a situation where you have disappointed them and they have an upper hand, and then they're going to dictate terms, and nothing good can happen, because ultimately you are the one who knows the business, knows the technology, knows what works, what doesn't work. So never fall behind on that, and manage money wisely. One of the things I see today is a lot of companies want to raise big amount of money, and I had opportunities where people came and said, "Why, we can give you $100 million at a $1 billion valuation," on and on. So two things to say there. One, avoid raising money that you don't need or don't have a way to convert into growth and value, right? So if you just take $100 million because they're giving you, got your valuation high up, money is sitting in the bank, that's not going to do anybody any good. Your current shareholders are going to get diluted and things won't work. Second, another thing I would tell you is don't be infatuated with the idea of raising money with this big valuation and brag to your friends that I'm a unicorn company. It really doesn't matter. What I learned early on in my life from my father particularly is what matters is what you can deposit in the bank. So having paper money is really not very useful. Only money that's useful is that one can be deposited in your bank and cash. Otherwise, everything else is not good. So be disciplined, be thoughtful, don't get carried away and raise big rounds of money and make a lot of noise without substance. Let the substance carry you forward. As they say in India in the game of cricket, let the bat do the talking. And that's what I would recommend you do. So finally, just summarize my journey. Personally, as I reflect on the past 9 years of Attivo Networks, the journey itself has made me much richer than the milestone of acquisition. Of course, you make, cash out, make money when your company exits. But really what has enriched me is the journey, the interaction with my colleagues, all the learning, building companies, and so on. And as an individual and as a company, we never give up through the ups and downs of the journey. We kept at it. We kept refining our product market fit. We kept innovating. We listened to the customers and responded to every feedback and developed those capabilities that customer thought were useful. We never argued with our customers, telling them, you don't need this. We are not in the business of telling customer what they need. We are in the business of giving to customer what they want. If you think about that way, it will be very successful. So, and finally, I would say that I learned a lot of things that I didn't know 9 years ago. I wish I knew all those things before I started the journey. It would have been much smoother and perhaps more successful journey. But then again, that's life, you learn. And I'm grateful I got this opportunity and had this phenomenal journey and ride. And so that's my story. Hopefully you find it interesting, and hopefully you find some elements of it worth noting and learning from. So with that, let me bring Naveen back and see if you have any Q&As or what can we do from here.
Thank you, Tushar. Really appreciate your sharing your, wonderful and amazing story with so many insights. Of course, we have a number of questions already. So let me start with my first question, then I'll again let the questions which our participants are asking. So just reflecting back, I know, thank you for sharing your, even your childhood beginnings side of your journey. And so I usually try to ask one question is, if you now, as you grow, if you reflect back and when you were growing up, do you think now, having gone through this 9-year of, wonderful journey, I mean, obviously, I'm sure wonderful meaning it went through its own roller coaster, ups and downs and everything. Basically, I call it the stronger character building exercise. So if you reflect, but was there anything as a child growing up, you think which might have inspired you to become an entrepreneur? I know you were very successful early on as an executive, vice president level. I remember 90s, there were very handful of few of our, at least our Indian colleagues, right? So.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think my background and where I grew up and my family and what my father taught us, having my own company was the most important thing for me. And had I not done Attivo, I would have been, I would not have considered myself successful. So this journey last 9 years is probably the most important part of my life, because I always wanted to prove to myself that I could start, develop, and complete something. And this requires a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, a lot of self-belief, perseverance, and some luck. And finally, the luck came my way. For the longest time, I felt we were not lucky, but it just, as long as you've done the homework and done the hard work, the luck has a chance to do something for you. If you've not done the hard work, if you're not positioned the company, if you've not done all the work, then even if you were lucky and SentinelOne decided that they wanted to buy somebody, they wouldn't have bought us, right? So that's the story on that.
Yeah, thank you, Tushar. Yeah, actually, I think you timed it pretty well also from before the public market roller coaster began.
That was pure, yeah, Naveen, that was pure luck. And that's I felt like in the end, my luck worked.
Yeah.
Which had not worked most of my life. I felt like I had to work harder and was not always lucky, but hard work led to a position where luck had a chance to do the thing.
Yeah, totally. I guess everyone, that's a very good, insightful, statement you made, Tushar. Like, just keep doing your karma and finally you will see the result pop in, right? Whether you got it luck or timing or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so Tushar, you want to stop your screen sharing, or you want to share? Yeah.
No, I can stop my screen sharing, and I'm looking at the Q&A. Do you want me to go through a few of them?
No, we can. Yeah. That's what I was going to go to the next. So next, I will go to one of the first one, obviously, Raj is asking more on pen testing services for small businesses. I don't know if you have any particular recommendation. Of course, I can, I'm sure there are.
Yeah, I think, I'll have to find somebody, but to be honest, I don't.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I can suggest there are a lot of consulting companies. There are a lot of companies also. Raj, if you have any, we can give you recommendation. You can send me a message also later offline. Next question is from Pramod. Pramod is, his Attivo's success was not linear. And of course, I know Pramod, he's a VC with 11-2 capital investing in security companies. How did you manage yourself, your employees during the transitions?
So I know Pramod well. I'd gone and pitched to Pramod a few times at VMware. That was part of our journey where we never gave up.
Yeah.
And but Pramod was always very graceful and very helpful. Pramod, look, so two things. I had, through this journey, couple of things that had to work was that I had my commitment to my team and my employees was 100%, and they could rely on me. They counted on me. They could trust me. And there was no guarantee of outcome, but they knew that, one, I was leading them with, utmost sincerity, leading them from the front, as they would say, setting myself as an example, and always looked out for their well-being before they came to me. I felt that if somebody walked into my office saying, "Hey, my compensation is not correct, or I don't have enough stock option, or my market value is much different," I'd rather address that before that happened. So, for example, one of the early employees we had hired, he had left Palo Alto to join us on the promise of our company, and then Palo Alto went IPO, and I think he left millions of dollars on the table. And I always carried that with me. I always told him that hopefully I can get an exit where you will recover the money you left behind and to trust and come to us. So it was that solid commitment to employees. I fought and worked very hard to make sure that I got the employee stock options. And we didn't dilute ourselves because we didn't raise any big rounds. So we were really in control of our company and destiny. At the day of exit, we had about 35 to 40% of the equity with the employees, which is very good. And I told my employees that, look, this journey is taking us 8-9 years versus a lot of startups get exit in 3 or 4 years. I said, look, think of it. I'm going to give you, continue to build up your equity. So, let's say in an executive position, you are going to make 1.5% equity. For staying with me for 8 or 9 years, I'm going to make sure you make double that equity, right? So it would be like doing 2 startups in one. And actually, the outcome we got was basically like 2 startups in one for all our employees. And then other things we did really well was we had kept the strike price for our stock options very low. We encourage everybody to acquire options in 583B, so everybody got long-term capital gains. And then a lot of us got something called QSBS, so tax efficiency was very good. So overall, if you think about it, even though we got acquired for $600 million, the net deposit in the bank for everybody was like as if we got acquired for twice that value or more, because of the less dilution and the tax implications. So I made that commitment, and with a little bit of luck, I was able to fulfill the commitment on the day of the exit. On the day of the exit, investors and every employee had a good outcome. Nobody could walk into my office and say, "Yeah, I didn't get what I thought I was going to get." So, that was my commitment. But even if you make a commitment, you need a little bit of luck to be able to deliver on it. And I was grateful that I was able to deliver on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, amazing strategy, Tushar. That's awesome. And kudos to you and, of course, your team to get it to that level. So next question is from Sridhar. How did you manage investors, their expectation in the first 3 years or so, while you are still trying to find a product market fit? I would just add to that, right?
Yeah. So I think, look, it was one of the things, and I think Pramod and others know, when I went to present to them about my company, I was not flamboyant. I was not talking billions of dollars and talking. A lot of the entrepreneurs and CEOs get either believing in their story or like to and try to hype things. So it might be sound interesting when you hype things. Somebody would possibly buy into that and give you money, but then you need to live up to the hype, which is not real. So I never hyped. I was very realistic. I always talked, in a very measured way about our prospects and so on. So that way, I never made a promise to investor that they could then demand, "Hey, you not met the promise." You always find some people who are unhappy or disruptors, but I kept that in pretty good balance. And that really helped us. So one is, don't hype or talk up things, and build a credibility with your investors that, you don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know. I didn't know that this category was not going to take off and some other category is going to take off, particularly when you're trying to create a new category. Everything's very different. So anyway, just don't hype and manage them if they believe in you and if they think you are sincere and not lying and not bullshitting, it'll go a long way. Okay.
No, thank you, Tushar. So next question, I think kind of you probably a little bit indirectly answered that, but how did you determine that there is a large enough market for your key product differentiator? What I meant by you indirectly answered was that you didn't hype up saying it's big, but I guess it looks like you are learning, or you think you already felt that there was a huge market?
Look, we thought that the attackers are going to make it past the perimeter defense. So you're going to need something to detect things inside the network. We still believe ours was the best solution. Not everybody believed it, unfortunately. And we had about 4 or 5 competitors early on in the space, and they made a mess. They, misexecuted, and the whole space got tarnished, and people didn't want to talk to anybody who was doing deception, which was basically a very good technique.
Right.
The use cases and all that. So we got into bad situation because of that. But we continued to listen to customers, and from there we learned that attackers were going after identity and credentials early in the attack cycle. So then we moved to focus on identity and credentials, and now we think that's a big market. Actually, agreed upon market, not just we think it's a big market, but the customers think it's a needed product. So, but as that happens, you will see the acquisition opportunities come forward. And I had a lot of responsibilities to find a favorable outcome for my team. So when the opportunity came, I accepted the offer.
Next question is from Attivo Tiwari. I think probably you know Atul. Atul is VP of M&A at Barracuda. For any entrepreneurs here who want to sell your company, reach out to Atul. Anyway, that's for Atul. Thank you, Atul, for joining. So Tushar, congrats. Great to hear you speak here. I love what you said about bettering yourself and back your people. I totally agree. Can you talk more about the downs during the 9-year Attivo journey and how you managed to stay motivated? What were the key things that you did and that the team did that kept you going?
Yeah, I think so. There's, we just work hard. Like, instead of bemoaning and complaining and saying, hey, it's not working out, or customers are not buying what we think they should buy, we just kept listening and kept filling the gaps. There were competitors who were claiming they had some capabilities that we didn't have for a while. First thing we said, okay, look, given the market and everything, let's out execute every competitor we have. So we had a super set of capabilities and features in our space. And later on, a couple of competitors told me that we kind of outlapped them. We were so far ahead, and we didn't tell the customer that A is better than B. We said you can have A and B and C, and choice is yours, and it's all in same platform. And we designed the architecture and platform such a way that we were able to innovate, and we had some of the best engineers. Venu and Shrikant, if you guys don't know, the top engineers in our space. So anyway, with all that, we were able to really plow through those tough periods and continue to grow steadily over the years while selling different things every 6 months, in a way. Because if I look back at my old presentation and pitch 3 years ago, or every year, I felt that I'm presenting a different company, because learn, change. Okay.
Awesome. Next question is from Anand Akila. Is deception well recognized now? And I don't see any Gartner, MQ, etc. Is it still maturing? Are there other players in this area?
Yeah, so deception is very well recognized now, and it's becoming more popular. For a while, it started with the bank. There was a lot of coverage. 6, 7 star companies entered the space. Some of them had expectation of immediate exit and got upset that they were not getting immediate exit and threw in the towel or got all messed up. But deception is a technique. Fundamentally, if you want to catch a mouse in your house, you'll put a trap, some cheese, and breadcrumbs. That's what we did inside the network in a very elegant and all that way. So it's a technique. So instead of selling deception, we sold the use case, saying, hey, if you want to catch mouse, we have the best capability for you. So think of it that way. Gartner doesn't do Magic Quadrant until the whole thing becomes pretty large and so on. But now what is happening is that deception is going to become part of the techniques used in a lot of different things. I'll just tell you a little bit of story. When SentinelOne was looking to buy us, we thought that we should not use the word deception. We internally we said we should avoid using the D word, because a lot of companies have this thing about deception is will never work, not that they tested it, and it's a bad market, and on and on. So we went to present to SentinelOne, and all the deception revenue was categorized as others. And put the light on our identity and all the things. Anyway, we went through all that. They liked it, and we moved forward, and through that acquisition, so on. Then they said they wanted 20 customer references. So we gave 20 customer references. There's 20 customers just glowed about this deception capability. And then, but I thought they were going to just kill the deception as soon as they acquired us. Today, actually, they want us to add more things to the deception. They want to take it to the market. It's a huge differentiator. It's very valuable. It really, if you think about it from attackers' perspective, it's very effective. Attackers have a hard time getting around deception. So we have 400, 500 customers in that, and it's growing now. I don't know if it'll become an independent category because it's going to become part of a lot of other companies' products. Now Zscaler has some deception, Fortinet has some, and others will start incorporating.
Thank you. Thank you, Tushar. Looks like you answered a bit of Anand's second question also, Velo. So next question from Shantanu. Thank you, Tushar, for sharing. If you were to do this again, what things would you do differently?
I think I would have. So there are two kinds of things you're going to prepare yourself for, right? So one is, you can say, I'm going to create a new category. So be mindful of what that means, because if the category gets created and you created it, you're going to take off, because that's a new category, and if the category is big, it's going to be huge. It's just going to be awesome. But if it doesn't, then there's challenges, because like in our case, we thought we were brilliant, but customers were less than excited about us and all that kind of stuff for a while. So the other way is, say, I'm going to make the better something. I know everybody's buying a firewall. I'm going to come up with a firewall which is so good that people will buy from me instead of Palo Alto. That's another approach. And a lot of times companies get started. Palo Alto themselves got started saying they'll make a better firewall than the previous guys who were making firewall, which they did, and they took the market. So there's a category exists, budget exists. All you got to do is convince the customer to buy from you. Now, mind you, both are equally difficult. So don't make you think that just because there's budget line item, you will be able to rob the budget and everything going on. So anyway, that's something to think about.
Thank you, Tushar. I think just next question is from an anonymous attendee. Who did you reach out for advice, mentorship, and how did you determine who to reach out to? Did you have some criteria?
I kind of learned to rely on myself only, just through the life. I remember, always, right? If you have a problem and you call somebody and you think that person is going to solve it, and you can sit back and get the solutions, it never worked for me. So, even anything, right? I just always believed that I had to figure it out myself. I did listen to people. Some people gave advice because they don't understand the context of what you're doing and all that. Advice is advice. It's sometimes free, and it's worth what it is, right? So, for example, we didn't have an investment banker when we were selling the company. I was doing it myself for a variety of reasons. Nothing. It's just that I first had to get somebody interested before I could convince the board that I could hire an investment banker, and then I decided, screw it, I'm just going to do it myself. And then when you're in the negotiations, you say, oh, let me find out from somebody, like, what to do now. Should I ask for more money, less money, blah, 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 right? And you get such a variety of advice. It's just, somebody said, just take 400, 300, what difference it make? you should get, and I know in my heart, no, there's more value here. This is a much more technology valuable customer, this, that. So I felt like I knew the best what my value was. And I had to come up with what my asking price was and how I'm going to negotiate. And, in the acquisitions, you think, you want to get this, and the acquirer says no, that. And I had to come up with why I think it was justified. And, so I felt like I just learned and did it myself. And I don't think I could have gotten better results from investment because they had to learn all the things. Like I knew sitting across the table what value I had to that our acquirer, SentinelOne. Very hard for investment bankers to know. And then when you're going through somebody, and whenever I've gone through somebody, I've been disappointed because he's either not represented me properly or it just, if you don't believe in yourself, do it yourself. Don't think that somebody will do the magic for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tushar. Next question is from Rishikesh. The question is, can you give concrete examples of focusing on people or elaborate the concept with a few examples?
So, first, obviously, you want to find and attract right people. I was very fortunate. I got some of the top engineers to join me. Specifically, many of you don't know them, but Venu and Shrikant, Wisam Sethi brothers, just phenomenal engineers and phenomenal people on top of that. And I had built trust with them. I never crossed them. I never undersold them or never told them what was not right. And I stood up and fought with my board when, I wanted to get them more stock options. Sometimes a board member will say, well, he's already got enough. Even if you don't give him, he should be staying here to, build the value of what he's already got versus leave and go somewhere else. I said, you never insult the intelligence of the person or think that he doesn't know how to think, right? Just because he has got, 1 million shares in a company that he can not leave because, if he's got 1 million shares, if you're not giving him any more options, then he's going to say, well, fine, I put my bet, I have 1 million shares already. Let me go to another company and get another 1 million somewhere, and I'll have 2 bets instead of single bet. So there is this, so don't, really have 100% trust and really look after people. Like I said, if they make money, you make money. If they're successful, you're successful. So I back my salespeople, my engineering people. At times, the board would give some advice or guidance or issue orders saying, get rid of this person, and I never did that. And then the board learned that that's who I am, and that's why people work for me. And in the end, it proved to be the right way to go.
Thank you, Tushar. Tushar, it's already 7.
Yeah.
Are you okay with 10 more minutes, or do you have a hard stop?
I have a little bit of a stop, so let's do a couple more questions, if you don't mind.
All right.
And
all right.
I can then respond in writing afterwards if you like.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So let me pick just a couple of, one is from, I think you already kind of answered the question of this, did you feel like giving up? So let me look, the next few of them are similar. So one of the questions is from Dhiraj. As you said that you are the best salesperson in the company, so how did you manage your sales role and CEO role while company was growing? If you had to pick one, which one would you pick?
No, it was, I didn't meant to say that I was the best salesperson in the company. I mean, I had a lot of sales background, so I knew what the sales was about and, what to do and all that. So, that was true. But, what I decided to do was to not hire a chief revenue officer because, a lot of salespeople that company like ours were able to attract don't have the worldwide exposure. Either they're very good in US, which is most of the times, and then, not able to do a second second-class service to the rest of the world. I grew up selling across the world all the time from my Cisco days to various jobs I had. So I basically had the theater leaders report to me directly. And I felt that I would replace or hire the chief revenue officer once we got some real traction. And business was really happening. So that was the take I took. But regardless of whether you're CEO or VP of engineering or whatever you are, if you're a founder, you're always selling and you need to sell, whether it's selling the product or the company. Selling is part of the game.
Thank you. So 2 more questions. Second one is
Yeah.
from Vinay Anand. You of course know Vinay.
Yep.
So he says, congrats on a terrific exit. As you made pivots to find a better product market fit over the last several years, how did you manage to keep your core team together, and how did you motivate the broader team to hang in there during the journey?
So one is intense trust and all that, and second, we work together to figure out what the right product pivots that we need to make. So it came from them versus me. Some of our core innovations that happen in our active directory and identity space came from our engineers in Bangalore, who had figured out how to do something, which became very important. So I think it's one, them having their trust, but still people get tired and leave sometimes. So we had minimal of that. With my key engineering leaders, they were so committed that there was never doubt about that. And every year I did everything I could to make sure I took care of them and increase cash compensation if company was in a position to do that, or increase the equity and so on. So, and the results speak for themselves. All the engineers have had a great exit and made good money.
Yeah, thank you. So the last question is from Sharat Mathur. Actually, my friend from high school days, and he's calling from India. So that's why I thought I'll just take it. And he used to run the, the Indian Railways is still there, by the way, if you have to sell to them. So his question is, do you recommend that medium-sized enterprises should also invest in deception technology, or leave it to large enterprises with critical assets only?
No, actually, it's better for medium-sized companies, even smaller, right? Think about it, right? I mean, if you have a lot of people, think about it. If you want to catch a mouse in your house, right? The cheapest solution is to buy a trap. The more expensive solution is to hire 10 people watching to see if any mouse is walking around.
Yeah.
It's just very efficient technology. So I think you shouldn't think of it that this is only good for bigger. Actually, it's a better technology for smaller companies. It's always less expensive and all the things that go with it. Now, we kind of stopped promoting, saying, hey, let's sell you deception technology. We sell you use case that will be able to detect and catch the mouse in the most efficient fashion, won't give you any false alarms, all those things. So that's really the use case is what should matter, whether you're using deception to achieve that or you're doing something else. I tell people, like, look, deception is like, if you want to keep your feet clean, you buy a pair of shoes. If you want to do something more expensive, you can put carpet on every street to keep your feet clean. Which one is more efficient?
Good one. So like closing question, which I ask every entrepreneur, like, thank you again. Any advice for entrepreneurs today embarking on the security space? There's a lot of money going in. There are almost 72 unicorns, in, as far as I know from my few some of the things I've learned recently. So what would you say if someone who wants to start a company in security space right now, what to focus and what to look for?
So,
or if there is a gap, he should
it's an age-old problem, right? You have to kind of believe in yourself, because spot that you think you can make a difference and then go after it, right? It is true that too many security companies. There are about 600 security companies. About 10 get acquired per year, and 1 or 2 go IPO. So there is about 50 years worth of supply of companies in a way, right? So it's always going to be the challenge in anything you do. Security is particularly more crowded. And the reason it's more crowded is it's very easy for anybody to start a company, land few customers, become 5 million, 10 million, $20 million company. But crossing from 20 to then really becoming a real company, you need to get to 100. And very, very few are able to do that. And you could flounder in this 15 to $20 million range forever. So you need to have the determination to get out of that. So it's a little tough space, particularly I feel like now that just too many companies, that there's not a clear open space. Services is always open. There are more people needed to do that. So that service companies, but you have to choose and get lucky.
Yeah. Thank you, Tushar. Really appreciate your time and for the amazing journey you shared with us, and really appreciate your time with this today. So with that,
Thank you so much.
okay, thank you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.